pleased to stand today to speak in the third reading debate on the Electoral Referendum Bill. And I want to state from the outset that the Māori Party does not consider referenda to be an effective form of gauging Māori views. There is a huge body of evidence around about the tyranny of the majority, which I merely point to as being inconsistent with the partnership envisaged in Te Tiriti o Waitangi. We cannot separate out the issue of participation in referenda from the wider analysis of Māori representation in the political process. The Māori Party believes that Māori should be fairly and effectively represented in Parliament in a way which reflects their place as the treaty partner. The voting system should contribute towards the same, and we have considerably more confidence in the capacity of MMP to do that than, say, any other forms of voting systems, including first past the post, especially first past the post. In a report prepared for the Electoral Commission in May 2007, it was noted that the introduction of the proportional representation-based mixed-member proportional electoral system has brought about increased participation by Māori in the political system and increased competition for the Māori vote. We welcome that increased hunger for political representation as a sign of a healthy democracy. Mr. Speaker, recently I was privileged to represent the New Zealand Parliament at a conference organised by the Interparliamentary Union and the UNDP on parliaments, Indigenous peoples and minorities, effective participation in politics. And that was a very interesting conference where, as I say, I was privileged to participate. But the interesting thing for me was that before I went, while I was preparing for my speech there, I had some research done by the library which pointed out the proportion of people in the New Zealand Parliament. And if you look at the proportion of ethnicities here in this Parliament as against the proportion of ethnicities in the wider population, it is practically 4% in there. Of course, recently we've had the addition of a Pacific Islander and the resignation of an Asian MP, but regardless of that, very much our New Zealand Parliament is made up of the ethnicities and represents ethnicities here in New Zealand very well. Our overwhelming interest in this legislation has been to ascertain whether it will ensure our elections are fair and reflect adherence to our foundations in Te Tiriti o Waitangi. In keeping with the special constitutional status of Māori, our preference has been that a robust and comprehensive process of public dialogue should be entered into with Māori to canvass areas of detail such as dual candidacy, closed party lists, party thresholds, overhang and other such matters. We note that in terms of the 2008 Relationship and Confidence and Supply Agreement between the National Party and Māori Party, both parties agreed that there will not be a question about the future of the Māori seats in the referendum on MMP planned by the National Party. Finally, we see the relationship between this electoral referendum bill and the very important context developing as a result of the constitutional review. I am greatly looking forward to being closely involved with this project, which I see as a vital opportunity for engagement about some key aspects of our society: the nature of electoral participation, the foundation of our constitution, the procedures and conventions which are unique to this land. In many ways, I think this will help to deliver on the expectation from the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination in their November 2005 report. That report recommended that a special rapporteur was directed to visit Aotearoa and report back on the relationship between Māori and the Crown. One of the key recommendations from that visit was to endorse an earlier recommendation from the Waitangi Tribunal calling for a longer conversation with Māori. And so we welcome the constitutional review and indeed the electoral referendum process as all just part of the context of building that longer conversation. Finally, I acknowledge the significance of the working group on constitutional transformation, which has been brought about by Professor Margaret Mutu and Moana Jackson to engage with Māori and to work on developing a model constitution for our country. All of these developments are very positive, and we see it all as more signs of a maturing nation. We are pleased to support this third reading of the electoral referendum bill.